idcwoodcraft.com.
All right. Hey, we didn't even know what that video was going to do when we hit the start button, but what'd you guys think? Oh, nice intro from is that Chicago? Shikara Customs. All right. Welcome. Happy Wednesday evening for another CNC Hangout. April, boy, folks, it's getting warm outside. We're getting the weather going, and I got my garden revamped, overhauled, and almost ready to start growing all kinds of flowers and veggies and all that good stuff. All right, tonight we got a guest, Greg from STL Woodworking. You guys are seeing him in the chat often, and he's going to talk about epoxy. So we're going to focus on epoxy questions, and he's going to talk a little bit more about the bigger machines and some other design software that's out there. So remember to bring your questions with question marks into the comments so Julianne can catch that. So first I want to say a few hellos, and then we'll bring Julianne on, and then we'll bring Greg on. Liberty will not be here tonight. She had a sudden change in plans that she had to attend to. So we got Karen from Michigan. Hello, Karen. Oz, what's going on? And I saw John. We got a new guy here. Hey, if you're new here or new to CNC, let us know in the comments. I'd love to say hello to you. And Prescott, what's going on? Prescott from Clinton Township, Michigan. Michael, intro is very impressive. Thank you. Our videographer put that together. So that was super, super cool. William, Jamie, James, Paul. Swan is on here tonight. He's got his question. Hello, Kimberly. Swan, we saw your question. You were number one. Aaron, Robert. Okay. All right. So that's this is, I could sit here all night and say hi to all the guys, but we're just going to kind of go with that. Okay. So we are going to, first of all, Don from New Jersey. I used to live in New Jersey, northern New Jersey, in Berkeley Heights near Summit. All right. We're going to bring on Julianne, the administrator for IDC Woodcraft, and she's the one that's going to be punching all the links into the comments, and any links that we have that she punches there will also be put into the description of the video. But if you want to see them while you're watching, you have to refresh so that you can get the updates as she does it. So Julianne, before we roll on, tell them what we did today.
Well, we took a little field trip. The whole team took a field trip.
Mm-hmm.
We are actually looking for a new building, new place for the IDC business, shipping, shop, creative studio space. So, it's been a work in progress because we really want to try to stay in our small town here. Don't want to go anywhere else, really. So yeah, finding an adequate space, a building that's big enough, has been quite a little bit of a challenge. So yeah, the one we went to go see today was had a very IDC Woodcraft feel to it. Let's just say that.
It really did.
It did. Gives us a lot of different areas to work with for everybody, room to grow for sure. But we'll see what happens.
Isn't it funny? So where the office is right now, folks, is in my old apartment. And then we absorbed the second apartment next to it. So we've got all the apartments, all the rooms in both apartments filled up. Mm-hmm. So, and all that started in my living room, all this. And now we're looking at what is that, 4,000 square foot building or something like that. Mm-hmm. All right. It's super cool. Super, super cool.
Oh gosh, if it floods up there, we're in trouble. Wandering Star said stay out of the flood zones. I was like, well,
yeah.
We'll see ourselves a boat.
much more modern building, but yeah. So I liked it. Of course, we have to see what we can do with that one. We got to work on. Anyway, that was the story today. Any other announcements?
Well, I'm kind of reading through the chat here, and I think congratulations are in order for Aaron. They're gonna have twins. Congrats.
Figured he'd share his fun day, got his first ultrasound, and we are going to have twins this year. Woo! Hope it puts a smile on their faces and up your day. That deserves a happy dance. All right. So you got twin happy dance, brother. Wow, congratulations. So if it's paternal twins, then you can name them Goedert and Julianne. And
gosh. I don't know about that. Please don't name your children after me. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing.
Right. Okay. All right. So Julianne will be in the background. We're going to be doing a giveaway today.
Yeah, we're actually going to be giving away a specific type of bit.
Okay.
Dwayne, our shipping guy's like, we really have quite an inventory of this one, so I need you to push it and give some away.
Oh, okay. All right.
So
okay. And so folks, I'm going to bring Greg on board. We've got Julianne still here. So hey, Greg, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, I just didn't want him hanging out there too long while we're sitting there chewing the CNC pad a little bit. I do just want to let folks know that so last week Julianne announced that we were going to release a couple of bits, and Thursday we did. So they're really fine. They're long 6-degree taper ball nose, and these are finer tip taper ball nose. They are online now. And I got these to take into account the rotaries and the deeper cuts, and I'll be getting more of these as far as the different diameters and the ball tips. So she will put links for that in the description. And there's another one we're going to be releasing. Can I announce this one already?
Is that the I one? Yeah, I guess you can.
Okay.
It's going to be next couple weeks or so.
Yeah, it'll be a couple weeks. What I'm going to do, if we were just talking about this, guys, so for folks that want to access to the new bits, or make sure you get online for the new bits, we're going to create special sign-up pages for you. So we'll work on that. So we got a insert surfacing bit now, and we're just about ready to launch that. We got almost everything in line. This is a 1-inch insert surfacing bit, and Greg, that's the one you tested a long time ago. Yeah, so excited to move into some of that territory, and we're actually working on another one I'm really excited about too, but I'm not going to announce that one yet.
I was gonna say that's when I was scared you were gonna announce. I was like, not yet.
Me too.
Not yet.
Yeah. It's this one right there.
Yeah, that bit.
Yeah, that one right there. Okay. All right, so folks, I think that's kind of it. So we're gonna park Julianne in the back. She will pop links in, and for those of you who don't know, when you see someone popping drink, right, that's because we've asked Julianne to put a link in or something like that. So that started with Mark Lindsay. That was over a year and a half ago. So now other people take that. Take that role on to make sure they announce the drinking.
That's right.
So you got to have your drink around. I want to get one of these tumblers available for people. I've had people ask about that. But okay. So Greg, for folks that don't know you, why don't you give us your 5-minute cliff notes who Greg is?
So full time, I'm a paramedic. I'm actually I'm a manager over our education department for paramedics in my town. That's my day job. I have a woodworking business, STL Woodworking, and I also do YouTube. I have a YouTube channel. I've just recently built and finished and opened. We're officially open now. A 2,400 square foot shop. So I moved out of my 2-car garage into the shop. I do a lot of production type work. Kind of behind the scenes stuff. I don't put out there. Some stuff I can't put out there, obviously. But yeah, I like doing production work. That's why I have the Avid. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, we'll have to do a discussion sometime. Maybe we can do it tonight a little bit about the business end of things and how you acquire business and whatnot. But tonight we announced that we are going to dive into epoxy a bit, since it's I don't do any epoxy, so I am not an epoxy person at all. I think Julianne and Liberty know more than so much more about epoxy than I do. I mean, Julianne should be sitting here asking the questions, not me, because I know there's a resin and a hardener, and you mix colors with them.
I mean, that's accurate.
And then you can drink it if it looks good enough.
That part's not accurate. Well, you can once.
Right. Okay, so how long you been in business?
Officially 5 years.
Okay, and how long have you had your YouTube channel?
2.5 years, I think. I'm coming up on 3 years.
Okay, and what do you generally like to cover on the YouTube channel? I know the answer to this, but I want to make sure.
Yeah, and I try, and I do on purpose. I try to stay a little bit on the build and education side as well as CNC side. So I just didn't want to niche down too niche into one area. So I do some builds, some tutorial stuff, and I also do occasional reviews, but usually it's only on CNC type stuff. I don't do tool reviews. That's just not me.
Okay, and you've got experience with the epoxy. You've done a lot of epoxy work. You get the CNC and laser work as well. So you are just finishing up a priority project, right? You were talking about that an epoxy table.
Yes.
Okay. How big?
It's 4 foot by 8 foot. Took about 27 gallons of epoxy, and it's about 2.25 inches thick.
Wow. So 27 gallons of epoxy, that's like $4,000 in epoxy, isn't it?
It's expensive. Yes. Probably not that much, but yeah, it's definitely it's up there in price.
Okay.
Epoxy's not cheap.
That's a serious table.
It is, yes.
You do a lot of custom jobs like that?
Yeah, I prefer those.
Okay. All right. So, okay. So here are some of the things that we've got that we sent an email out that we're going to talk about. So we're going to talk about epoxy, and I'm sure there's going to be lots of questions out there. And so about getting more consistent results with your epoxy. And then you're going to talk a little bit about the CNC 12 software. And so talk about what CNC 12 is.
So, and I'm by far no expert on it. I'm still learning it myself. Mark Lindsay can also speak to it as well. He's got it on his now. It's a new software or controlling software that Avid came out with. It's Acorn software, but it's CNC 12, and it came out with their new EX controller, and it's just the interface is just it's the best I've ever seen. I've had Mach 4 for a while. That's what I was running on it. Mm-hmm. And it is just, man, the interface is just amazing. It's really nice. I wish I had a screenshot to be able to show you, but
is it a CNC control software or design?
It software? Is control software. Yeah, I still use VCarve for my design,
okay.
But yeah, it's a control software.
So were you using Mach 3 or Mach 4 beforehand?
Mach 4. Yeah.
And so how's it comparing to that?
Oh, it's not even close.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I never liked the Mach 4 layout.
Yeah, it is totally, it's a learning curve because it is not anywhere close to the same at all. It is just like opening a whole new program. But it's nice.
Okay. All right. And then let's see, you can talk a little bit about your machine. So for the folks that let's kind of talk about that a little bit. So Greg runs with professional equipment, right? So you have the Avid CNC, and that's basically with Avid. Where would you place that? That's professional level machine. I know that.
I would place them on the fence between prosumer and industrial.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you can certainly get one that's bigger, even bigger than mine. But yeah,
and they're customizable. You can make those like almost as long as you want, right?
You can make them as long as you want and pretty much nearly as wide as you want.
And the spindle on your unit is 12 horse?
It is a 8.7 horse 3-phase spindle.
Okay, compared to mine, which is a 1.5. That makes me feel small. And what's the size of your machine?
Mine is actually, so it's a 4x8 machine. But it's actually a 4x12 with a 10-foot area because I have a rotary on mine too. And I have a vertical panel in the front where I can do work holding that way too. So
Okay.
the machine's 12 foot long.
Okay. So did you upgrade up to that? Did you work your way up to that from smaller machines like hobby level, what have you?
Yeah, well, and I still have my 150, of course. I'm not going to get rid of it. And I had the Shapeoko for a while, but yeah, that was a big jump because I needed it. And actually, funny story, Jay Bates was actually looking to get rid of his before he moved his shop, and me and him talked, and I wound up getting Jay Bates's. The one I have is the one Jay Bates used to use.
Okay. All right. Yeah, Mark Lindsay's on board now. Hello, Mark. So he's got an Avid. He got that a couple of years ago, and so he's got the same software as well.
Yep.
So and I just saw a comment there too. Someone else has Natural Live Edge. So they got an Avid, and they got the CNC 12 too. So so the CNC 12. Is this specific to Avid, or can it run on the like the Goebel based machines, or what's the level that CNC 12 needs to be plugged in?
That one, I'm not sure 100%. I know the Acorn software can be run. Mark might be able to answer that in the comments if it can be run on other machines. I know it can be configured for other machines. I'm just not sure exactly how.
Okay. And yeah, you said it's based on Centroid Acorn. What is Acorn? Because I have no idea what that is.
That's basically the board.
Okay, it's like
control board.
Okay, Goebel is like its own board. That's
Yep.
So, folks. Just so you know, okay. So when you hear GRBL, the GRBL systems, that's based on a type of circuit board. That's actually what the board is called. Is designed for that stuff. And the GRBL HAL is like an upgrade. Am I saying that right, or is it GRBL is a soft? Actually, it's a firmware, isn't it?
I don't know. It's a good question.
Come on, Garrett. It's been a while. Oh well, doesn't really matter as long as the CNC router runs, right?
That's right.
So okay, so you work your way up. How long did it take you to work up, and what made you upgrade to this professional level?
I needed a bigger machine for flattening tables. Epoxy tables. That was my main thing that I looked at for doing it. And then of course, once I got it, it allowed me to do, more higher volume production work. And then I upgraded. So when I upgraded to the EX controller with the CNC 12, I also upgraded to the servo motors from stepper motors. And that's, if you have that ability, ever do that. It is so nice.
Yeah. So servo motors run different from steppers in that they have an encoder in them. So it's actually reading, either it's a metal plate or it's a glass plate with real fine lines on it, and it reads with a laser. And servo motors are much more accurate than stepper motors.
Yeah, and it's so quiet too.
So much more accurate. They cost more, but
Yes.
Quiet. They can be run at lower power or lower speeds and maintain their power. They're very consistent in their torque. So okay, all right, cool. And all right, folks, we will get into some questions, but let's see what else did we have here, because I want to. So your shop build. Let's talk about your shop. You upgraded. So I'm kind of touched on the business end here, just for folks who are going in that direction. You're really serious about going. First of all, what made you decide you're going to go be successful in business?
I mean, I've always wanted to kind of do my own thing. I love my job. I've been doing it for a very long time, but I want to retire, from the medical field at some point, and I love woodworking. So kind of got into the CNC, and just, I don't know, it's just been a lot of fun. It's just a lot of fun projects, and it's basically like hiring somebody, and not having to, pay the benefits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's just, I like it because I'm able to set the machine up and do stuff while I'm doing other stuff in the shop. So it's been nice. I really enjoy it.
Okay, folks, I want to remind you, and I'll remind you again later, we're going to plug in his YouTube channel. Go over and subscribe to his YouTube channel. So Greg has been hanging around, I guess, about 2.5 years, maybe 3 years. Well, I guess when I got back on the live, you started hanging on the live pretty consistently, and we brought Greg on occasionally. And yeah, I actually want to create, Julianne, just make a note of this, that we'll bring Greg back on. We'll talk specifically about business, because I really want to, because there's multiple levels of business growth that you guys can get into. And so now he goes into custom work, which is not what a lot of people do, custom epoxy work. All right, so let's talk about oh yeah, got to take a drink, ask Julianne what to do. Or to do something. All right, so let's get into epoxy a little bit, and then we'll get to some of these questions, folks. So remember, put your question marks in front of your things, and we're getting some questions about some various different things. That's cool. All right, talk about it. Let's start with epoxy basics, just to kind of, so for folks who have not messed with it yet, just kind of give them the lowdown rundown, and then we can take it from there.
Yeah, so I mean, when you're looking at epoxy, you've got a few different kinds of epoxy. You've got basically your tabletop epoxies. Those are your 1-to-1 ratio mixed epoxies, and they're all called. Some of them are called the same, but some of them are called different. They have different names, but basically, if it's a 1-to-1 mixed ratio epoxy, it's a type of tabletop epoxy, and or what they might call art resin. So. There are a little bit of differences between the two, depending on what brands you're using. And then you've got your deep pours, and then I like to say your really deep pours. So you got a couple different ones. They're typically 2-to-1 mixture. Some companies have some that are 3-to-1 mixtures. The company that I use is Super Clear exclusively, and it's a 2-to-1 mixture. They have two different types of deep pours. One that basically cures in 24 hours. But it can't be poured quite as deep as like their liquid glass 2 to 4 inches. So yeah, that's
deep pour curing in 24 hours.
It does. Yeah, it can be poured up to like an inch thick. So that's pretty deep for like if you wanted to do a cutting board, charcuterie board, and yeah, it'll cure in 24 hours.
So a deep pour is considered an inch.
Yeah, that would be a deep pour because your tabletops and art resins, you can't pour them more than 1/4 inch at a time.
Okay, all right. Then what's a really deep pour?
The liquid glass, it can be poured 2 to 4 inches.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And so most of the time, I guess when you're running a CNC, you're carving on top and you're just filling in the stuff you carved. That's not considered deep pour. That's your standard 1-to-1 type of.
Most of the time, yeah, use the time.
Okay. Yeah, Mark Lindsay did that one project. I guess he had 13 different pours on it. It was that Pirate. Yeah. He did that a while ago. So yes. What's the most complicated epoxy project you had to work on?
One like that. Those are very time consuming when you've got multiple pours, because you don't have to leave the project on your CNC. You can take it off as long as you've got really, really good locating. But I prefer to leave it on the CNC. That way I don't have to worry about that. But yeah, because you got to wait till it cures before you can carve the next layer and pour the next color and so on and so forth. So those get really complicated the more complex they get.
Okay. So it's not really recommended, especially if you're just getting into it, I'm going to say, is to do multiples. What was if you could give somebody who's just getting interested into epoxy, what would you say the 3 golden rules they would have to take into account?
Buy the right epoxy for the project you're doing, and mix slowly on your 1-to-1 epoxies. It's the biggest question I get is, why do I have bubbles? Why do I have bubbles? And it's 9 times out of 10 because of the way you mixed it. People
really?
They mix it too fast. And once you entrain bubbles like the deep pour, it doesn't matter if you got bubbles in it. It's going to cure over a long time. So it's got time to release those bubbles. But 1-to-1 ratios, they don't have time to release. So you wind up with micro bubbles in your epoxy.
Okay. So they're just stirring it too much.
Too fast.
Okay. Yeah. What's another pointer?
So this one, I do hear this one a lot. All epoxy yellows. I don't care what kind it is. I love my super clear, but all epoxy will yellow over time if exposed to UV. So if you're going to be pouring anything that's clear, just know it needs to stay out of UV as much as possible because it will eventually yellow.
Okay, so that's not just the sun. What else would that be?
Anything that produces a UV light.
Okay. Okay, and folks, if you put it out in the sun, it's gonna get soft and. And
Yeah,
what's your third golden rule? I see some golden rules coming in here. I'll call them up here. But what's your third golden rule?
I don't know. I would say another thing is wait until the epoxy is cured before you start messing with it.
Okay.
People will try to pull it off and start sanding it or whatever too early. Well, I got one. So when you're pouring multiple layers, this is another question I get a lot. When you're pouring multiple layers, the best bond between the two layers of epoxy is if you pour the second layer while the first layer is still tacky.
Okay.
And by tacky, I mean you can take a toothpick and touch it, and it will dent it in, but it will not pull the epoxy back up with the toothpick. That's perfect.
Okay.
Otherwise, you got to sand it if you let it cure.
That's good. You got to rough it up, basically.
You do, and that's just a mechanical bond. The other way is actually a chemical bond.
Okay. All right. So if you do it after it's cured, does it actually, can it separate? None? Have you had it separate?
As long as you rough it up, it shouldn't separate. It should still bond.
It's just the best way to do it.
It's
so
the best way is chemical.
Yeah. Mark Lindsay said a golden rule is level the project before you pour. That's a good one.
Yep.
All right. So let's see. Pascal said temperatures. Talk about that.
Yeah, temperatures are super important. They're not such a big deal if you're pouring tabletop 1/4 inch, but you don't want to be pouring epoxy in an extremely hot shop. It's going to flash cure. And when it flash cures, it's got a really, really strong chance of cracking. So believe it or not, the cooler the area, the better the epoxy is going to cure. The big one I'm doing now, for example, that table is 27 gallons. I poured almost all 27 gallons at one time. And I had it in a room that is climate controlled to 64 degrees. And I had 2 fans blowing across the epoxy the entire time.
Because of the reaction that it's going to generate heat. So you need to keep that heat moving off of that.
That is correct.
Okay. Yep. So what about environment, like air? So people say, you should have mask or ventilation, right?
So, I mean, it depends on what you're using. So the super clear that I use, it's no VOCs. So, I mean, it does have an odor, but it's not going to harm you. But I will say I would still probably wear a mask if I'm in a room pouring epoxy.
Okay. And there's propane torch with bubbles. We got some questions coming in, so I'm gonna pop up some of these questions, and let's hammer them out. So first of all, is our brother Swan. So folks, just keep your thoughts going with Swan. So he announced a couple weeks ago that he was diagnosed with gallbladder cancer, and you all donated a bunch of money to him. We collected over $500 altogether. IDC matched what you guys gave. Was it turned out to be over $1,000 that we sent some money to him. So Swan, continue to think about your brother. And so you are having trouble with your G sender. In notifications, it states invalid lines detected. Your job may not run correctly. Can it help? I'm going to suggest that the post processor is not correct, because from your design software, it's probably running in either that, or you don't have the G sender configured for the right machine. So first, you want to make sure the Vectric is using the right post processor. If you're in inches, you want the GRBL inch post processor, and if you're metrics, then you're a GRBL millimeter post processor, and that. The reason is because you're using a different post processor. What the post processor does, it tells the Vectric software how to generate the G code that's going to plug into your control software. It's going to tell the machine how to run. And all post processors are different. They're configured for different types of machines. And if you're using a different post processor, inject codes that your machine is not configured to understand. So that may be one of the things that you're having trouble with is the post processor. And in your G Sender control software, I'd have to launch mine so I can show you. It's a quick thing just to make sure you're set up right. I got to wait for it to launch. But post processor, folks, on your CNC is really important. Your control, your design software, your CAM software, let's be specific, has to be using the right post processor for your CNC machine. And G Sender is taking a little bit of time to show up. So basically, Swan, in the lower left corner, there's a little hamburger icon. It says config. Click that, and then at the bottom middle, it's going to tell you there's going to be a little selector box for your CNC router. Make sure it's set on the right CNC router, and that should get you. It just loaded, so I'm going to share real quick. And we'll go right there. Okay. All right. So there's a little. Let me just take that out. There's a little hamburger icon in the lower left corner. Select that, and right down at the bottom in the middle is a little selector box for your CNC router. Make sure you pick the right CNC router, and that should get you. Okay, let's hit on the next one. It's good. I think it's going to take a minute for the questions for you to come up. Let's see. So Mike said Christmas came early this year. The Altmill MK2 4x4 and the F2 Ultra UV laser system spoiled. Guess he got his machine.
Nice.
Sweet. Happy dance. You're going to love that machine, my brother. You're going to love that machine. All right. So John said he needs help with his IDC inventory list. What does unset mean? I don't know what unset means. An inventory list. Okay, John, you have to be more specific on that. I'm not sure where we have unset at. Would that point you to any kind of document or something? Julianne, does that make sense to you? No? Okay. John, be a little more specific on where that is at. Is that on a document or is it on something else? So we'll come back to that. All right. Kimberly is saying, can you cut cement board for tile mosaics on the CNC?
Never tried it. I would assume so. I mean, it's gonna be. Oh my gosh, that's like probably worse than MDF.
Oh yeah. So you can't. I'm going to say you can because cement board is not super dense, and you can cut it with a tile saw. So I'm going to say the type of bit that you probably want to use, Kimberly, is either a corncob bit or a diamond bit. I don't think a diamond. I think a diamond bit would be too much for that, don't you?
I think so too.
Yeah,
it's going to be really dusty too. Bad dusty.
Yeah, for sure. This is one when you're cutting cement board. This is something you need to have coolant on. So, but a corncob bit, and we don't have that. I actually bought one a long time ago to test. I never did test it because I really wanted to play around with those. IDC Woodcraft doesn't carry the corncob bits. They're ugly, weird, gnarly looking bits. And folks, if anybody else can answer what possibly to use to answer Kimberly's question, that would be an interesting question to have answered. I'm just going to take a look at the comments, see if anybody said anything. Not yet. Be very careful with dust. Comes from Rich. Yep, it will ruin the air-cooled motor. Okay, so Kimberly, just take note of that. And Robert said, comments are coming in fast here. A light coat of epoxy you're using? Oh, I think he was asking a question. So, okay, here's one from, so everybody say hello to Cody, because this is Cody from the Jenny Bit guy. So Cadence CNC. So he said he remodeled his bathroom years ago, and he used the CNC to cut the cement board for the plumbing. Killed some bits from China, but it worked. I'm curious what bits you used on that. That would be interesting. Okay. Make a comment, Cody. What bits did you use? Did you use the Jenny? Oh, you used it from China, so you didn't use the Jenny bits. All right, Cable. What is a good font used for small text, 1/4 inch height text? Carbon with a 30-degree bit. He plans to use or a mask and paint or stain, and looking for font that's easy to remove your mask from.
I don't know if there is a font that's easy to remove or mask from.
I've got to agree. So Cable, I have to say that's just par for the course. The challenge with removing your war mask. What I will say is get that one of those plastic little picks to pick it up. I've done it with my fingernail, and then you drag paint onto the wood. It's like, oh. So, and make sure if you do any painting, make sure you let that paint completely dry.
Yeah.
Let it cure for at least 24 hours. All right. But any fonts that you would recommend?
I think most of them, when you're talking about just doing that, any of the fonts work pretty well.
Yeah. What I would do on this Cable is I would try a couple fonts, because it depends on the style that you're looking for too. I did I got the project over there, but it's really a kind of a script font, and it was not quite that small, but almost that small, and it came out really nice. But it's really fine detail script font, and I did it with that bit. Okay. So from Darcy Legree. Okay, when machining and using epoxy, how do you make your cuts right up to where you poured your last epoxy and get rid of all the wood? Pocket inside a pocket kind of deal.
You've got to overlap by just like a half a millimeter, whatever it is. Because what he's talking about is you'll have this in between your cuts where the bit, like say if you're doing an engraving or something, it's going to leave a little bit of wood just under it. So yeah, if you overlap your lines by like a half a millimeter or something like that, that will work. So
overlapping, but you're overlapping past the wood into the next.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So basically, you're going to do an offset. Basically, an offset line. What?
Yeah, you can do an offset line. I'm trying to think of. There's somebody that's got a pretty good video on doing that, and I cannot think of what his channel is off the top of my head. I'll put in the comments if I can think about it, if I can remember it.
Okay. And we have Anthony. He says, question: when programming a project and he hits run the machine, thinks it's a 1/2 inch big. Please help. So he's got a conflict with metric and inch going on somewhere.
Probably. Is he talking about the bit, or is he talking about?
I think he's talking about the project itself. So I've seen this before. So one of the things could be you're designing in inches. Maybe your post processor is the right one, generated in inches, but maybe your control software is set to read in millimeters. So it's going to read the inch numbers in millimeters. Think of it like this. 1 inch is like this. That's 25 millimeters, right? So if you have a dimension of 1 inch in your machine, it's going to only cut maybe that long, right? If it's reading it as millimeters. So what you want to look for is a millimeter to inch conflict. So go start with your design software. Make sure your design software is set up to inches. I'm assuming you're going to be doing this in inches, in imperial. Then make sure your post processor is going to generate the information in inches. So it's an inch post processor, very specific there. And then make sure your control software is configured to work in inches. Not only does it display in inches, but it's configured to read it in inches. So it depends on when it's your control software. It depends on what you're using. You have to set that up. I see that on occasion. People run into that, and it's several different quirky things that can happen, but it's all in the settings. All right, diamond burr. So Kevin, instead of diamond burr, I guess he's talking about for the cement board.
Yeah, I think he's asking what that is, what kind of bit that is.
Yeah. I don't know. Okay, what is the what diameter is the new surfacing bit? Oh, it's 1 inch diameter. So it's 1 inch, and we're going to be working on 1.5 inches, and then we're going to start working on larger ones as well. But it's a 1/4 inch shank, 1 inch diameter. So it's indexable inserts on it. So you get, I can tell you it for whatever reason, it handles the surfacing really well.
Yeah. I remember when I tested it. It's probably been a year since I tested it.
Yeah. Yeah, it handled it really well. I was able to cut more with that bit, much deeper and much more aggressive than with the standard IDC ultra smooth bits. I'm not sure what the difference is. All right. Dave is starting the CNC journey. Congratulations, Dave. Do you have any recommendations on training bits? Ones I won't cry over when I break. Go buy cheap ones off Amazon.
You can do that. Or I suggest doing some air carvings first to see and just go ahead and buy good bits.
Yeah. Yeah. I've always been buy good bits, but so Greg's got a point. I actually never really recommended this other than when I provide G-code program for something, I say always test it without the bit. But this is a really good point. If you're brand new to CNC, you want to progress in stages, especially when you're first running your machine. You want to know, you want to get a feel for your machine. It's kind of like a girlfriend, right, or a boyfriend, right? You got to get to know the feel of how it's working, and so doing it without the damaging tools in it that can break and stuff is a really good idea. But if you wanted to, when I first got into it before IDC started, I bought this $5 set of V-bits off of Amazon. Those were trash. They had the trashiest cuts, but they were throwaways. Right? Literally, it's a 3-piece set of V-bits for $5 off Amazon. I don't even know how the company can afford to put that on Amazon. Because Amazon's fee. IDC Woodcraft has tooling on Amazon. That's not cheap. All right, Julianne, I'm going to bring her back on board just so you folks know. Because we could. So, what is the cost for us if you'd say like, for what we sell something on Amazon, how much are we getting out of that? Like, what's the percentage that Amazon is taking?
It depends on if it's Amazon Canada, Amazon Mexico, or Amazon USA, or Brazil.
Okay.
So yeah, it depends on the international percentage take because we now have to pay for the fuel to get our product there. There's a listing cost. There's
Monthly
there's
cost.
a fulfillment by Amazon charge where they ship it all to their different warehouses around the country, and it sits there until you guys buy it. But oof, I mean, it's worth it. It's well worth it because it gets the product out there. But you look at the background cost, it's like, oh my goodness, there's so many pieces that need to go into this.
Yeah. And Amazon's no cakewalk by any means.
No. They have regulations and many rules.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but so we actually outsource our management of that because it requires its own level of knowledge. Okay, all right, there you go, folks. So I'm going to estimate 40 to 50% Amazon take. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe more. Okay.
A little bit more.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Price of doing business, Greg.
Yep.
But if you're not on Amazon, I mean, well, it was smart to get on Amazon.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, Greg, here's one for you from Les. And he's saying, when do you know when the Jenny bit starts to get dull?
Just like any other bit. I mean, when you start seeing your cut quality go downhill, if you start seeing any kind of marks, anything like that. But I'm going to tell you, I have one Jenny bit. Me and Cody has had this discussion several times. I have one Jenny bit that I have been running for a long time. And when I say a long time, probably 2 years. And I would say now is probably the time to replace it after I just cut the other day with it. But I don't even know how many inches. Yeah. Miles. Yeah. How many miles that bit actually has on it. Now I do keep my bits very clean. I make sure I clean my bits. So, but yeah, that sucker has lasted a long time. Sorry, Cody, I'm costing you sales right now, but yeah, it's lasted a long time.
That's what we want, durable bits. IDC Woodcraft, folks, carries the Jenny bit line.
Yeah.
Just so you know. So Cody and I started talking probably about a year after I started. He contacted me about a year after I started the channel. So we've been talking for about 4 years now, a little over 4 years. So we've watched each other grow. It's been very cool. And it was the right business decision for both of us for IDC Woodcraft to carry his bits.
I agree.
And we can't keep them online. They're so popular. We're constantly running out of inventory. We keep upping the inventory and we keep changing how we're doing it just to make it work out. All right, Greg, here's another one from Stubbs. Could you do a short tutorial on putting the finish on epoxy? I'm not sure whether to sand it or what, so I've been a bit timid to try it.
So I'll answer this 2 ways. The first way is if you, because I don't know what you're doing when you're finished. If you're doing a flood coat, and that's going to be your finish on the epoxy, you're going to want to scuff that up because your epoxy underneath needs to completely cure. You're going to do scuff it up, sand it, and then pour your flood coat. But what I think you're really asking is about just any general finish. The great thing is you treat it no differently than you do wood. You just simply say Rubio Monocoat. You just simply spread it on and then let it dry and wipe it off. That's it.
So what's a flood coat versus what? Just
flood coat is
for folks?
It's just the flood coat it depends on what you want the look to be. Flood coat's obviously going to be complete gloss because it is pure epoxy on top. It's great. It looks good. Depends on what your end goal is. If you're wanting tactile feel, let's say you're doing an epoxy table. If you want the tactile feel of the wood, you just want to use regular wood finish. But if you don't care and you want the nice, slick, smooth feel, then yeah, flood coat's okay. So it just really depends on what you're going for. But yeah, you can use any finish for wood on top of epoxy.
Okay. All right. We got Bill saying, can you talk about methods to avoid colored epoxy bleeding into the wood?
Yep. You need to seal your wood before you pour the colored epoxy.
So sealing with
de-wax shellac's a good one. You can seal it with epoxy itself, just clear tabletop epoxy or art resin. Just seal the wood around it. That way, whenever you do pour it, it doesn't bleed into the fibers.
Yeah. So folks, I mean, this is kind of across the board. If you're going to stain wood, you're going to spray paint wood over Oramask. Wood is nothing but a bunch of straws, right? So you're going to have that wicking effect when something liquid hits it and it's going to bleed into the wood. So you always got to seal that. So no matter what you're doing, if you're going into where the grain is and it's going to suck into that straw, you have to seal that. So I'll use shellac. I'll use clear coat. Just like a Rust-Oleum clear coat sometimes. Whatever I've got. Okay. Ronnie is saying, Garrett, Greg, and Julianne. Greg, what do you manufacture with your CNC machine?
So I do a few different things. Something like I really can't talk about just because of NDAs with what I'm doing. But I make some products for some other YouTubers. That they don't make on their own anymore because they don't have time. And just really that's it. And the other ones I can't really say much about because their businesses and you're going to get that. So if we're not going to talk about business, tonight, but if you could get that because a lot of companies don't want anybody to know where they're having things done.
Yeah.
They just don't. For I guess security reasons and whatnot. So, but reach out and look. I can tell you what I do. I do a lot of parts for things. I do a lot of cabinetry, MDF that gets veneered later by somebody else. So those are a couple of things I do on a higher end. A lot of.
Okay. I saw a comment there in the regular comments there about cleaning bits. What do you use to clean your bits?
Simple green.
Simple green. Okay,
Yep.
folks. That's something you get off Amazon, or you get it down at Lowe's or Home Depot. You let it soak for 15 minutes and then wipe it off?
Yeah, usually 15, 30. Sometimes more than that. Sometimes I just forget about it and it just sits in there.
Okay. And just wipe the pitch wipes off afterward. It just rag. Okay.
Sure does.
Okay. Susan is saying, Greg, love your bowls. Do you sell your files for some of your bowls?
I think I have one that I sell. I don't sell files a whole lot. But I think I have one on there that's for sale, one of my serving bowls, if that's the ones you're talking about. If you're talking about my dog bowl holders, no, I do not sell those files. Okay.
Do you ever think about doing that or not?
No, I'd rather produce, because I can flat pack, so shipping is super easy on them. So I would prefer to make the money on the product. Yeah.
All right. Yep. He wants to keep it for himself. So, folks, one of the things that Greg said before, right? Making things for some people, make stuff for other YouTubers, or you've done it, right? So, if you're thinking of business, this is another angle. When people are YouTubing and they end up getting busy on YouTube, they tend to put their energy towards that, and they don't make as much product, right? But they still need to make the product, right? Because they don't want to let go of the business. And so that's a business that you can get into if you find the right person and start making stuff for them, or other just CNC shops that need a little more support, and they just need to outsource some of the stuff that they make. I've seen.
Don't be afraid to reach out to some CNC shops or cabinet shops or something in your area, and you've got a machine. I've got a buddy in Tennessee. He gets overflow from a very, very busy cabinet shop, and he does a lot of their cabinet doors just because they don't have time.
All right. Hey, Julianne, can you take over for a minute? I gotta run and take care of something real quick. So she's gonna come in. I'm gonna step out for just a second.
Okay.
All right. Woot.
Well, he's in trouble now. He left us in charge.
It's like, let me put on boss hat real quick. Stop doing what I'm doing in the background. All right. Sorry, I've been answering questions in the chat and whatnot with emojis. Hi, Jack. Hi, Mark. Hi, everybody. Okay, so next question. What was your biggest mess up? So I'm guessing like epoxy project. What was something that just bombed?
I did make a coffee table one time where I grabbed the wrong bottle and I literally mixed it completely backwards.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, it's a 2-to-1 ratio. So it had 1 part epoxy resin, 2 parts hardener. I guess you can probably guess what happened. Yeah, it started smoking. So
it was over pretty quickly.
Yeah. And it was a coffee table, so it ruined it. It was done. It ruined.
Gosh.
The whole project was ruined.
What was the cost of that being ruined?
The cost of the wood was probably $700 or $800. Yeah.
Ouch. Ouch.
Whoops.
All right, next one. How do you take the epoxy bubbles out of a project so large? I know that somebody probably doesn't want to get up there with a little propane torch hitting every bubble.
Yeah, I'm assuming you're talking about the table I'm currently doing.
Yeah.
So the good thing is I didn't have to, but I will tell you my process. I have a vacuum chamber that'll hold a 5-gallon bucket, and I mix the epoxy up 3 gallons at a time. So I can put that whole 5-gallon bucket down into a vacuum chamber, and it evacuates all the bubbles from it when I pour it. Having said that, you don't have to do that with the epoxy I use, because it does take so long to cure. The bubbles will have time to release on their own.
Okay. All right.
All
Welcome
right.
back, Garrett.
Thank you for taking over for a second.
Yeah, no problem. I'll be in the background causing trouble.
All right, keep causing trouble, folks. Remember to sign up to Greg's YouTube channel, and Julianne's going to pop in at some point. We're going to do a giveaway.
Oh,
Right.
yeah. I got to set that up. Yep,
Yeah.
I'll be in the background doing that.
Okay. All right, cool. All right. So William is saying, is it really worth it using the total boat?
So full disclosure, I am backed by SuperClear Epoxy on my channel. I'm an affiliate of theirs. So I don't promote any other brand but theirs. However, I will say Total Boat is a good epoxy. Obviously, you've seen them around. I prefer SuperClear. That's what I've started using. Our relationship is because of me using it, not because of the affiliate side. I approached them because I love their epoxy. But yeah, if you choose to use Total Boat, it's completely fine. You can't pour it as deep. If you're looking for a deep pour, you can't pour Total Boat as deep as you can SuperClear. And I would argue SuperClear holds up a little better when it comes to the UV, causing it to yellow.
Okay. And Total Boat is more, I mean, they're more pointed toward marine use. Am I right? Okay.
They're the same. They're just an epoxy company.
Okay. All right. So Greg's link for SuperClear, it will be in the description. We'll throw it in here. What if someone got? What would they start with? What size containers, and what do you think they would want to start with? If they're going to go ahead and use your link, which they're going to tonight, what are they going to start with?
Yeah, so I mean, of course, I make more money the bigger ones you buy, but that's all joking aside. Don't buy the gallon kits right off the bat. Get your feet wet with it. They've got the little quarts and pint kits. I'd get one or two of those, and kind of see what you think, see if you like it, and then as you start doing bigger projects, you're gonna want to buy in the 3-gallon kits. It's going to be cheaper in the long run to buy the bigger kits. Just keep in mind, epoxy's good on the shelf unopened for about a year. It's good on the shelf open for about 6 months or so. It will yellow. You will see it yellowing. And let me go ahead and answer this question because I get asked it a lot. And I don't know if anybody's asked it, but you can use epoxy if it's already yellowed in the container, as long as you're not pouring clear. If you're pouring an opaque color, you can still use that. I actually saved some of the older epoxy that's kind of yellowed for an opaque pours because I know I can still use it.
Okay. So what would someone who's just going to play with it start with? What are all the things they need besides, well, they need the hardener or resin and hardener.
Yep.
Right. So what, it comes in a quart?
It'll come in a kit. It'll come in a kit. You'll just choose your kit, what size you want, and the kit comes with exactly what you need to make. Let's say if it's a 1-pint kit, it's going to have enough epoxy, enough hardener for you to make something that would require an entire pint. That's how it's sold. Okay. So yeah, just get one of the smaller ones. Get you some silicone mats if you don't have a good place to do it where you're not getting epoxy everywhere, and get you some tongue depressor stir sticks. Those are the best things to start with. Yeah, I'd get gloves because epoxy gets on your hands. It's just a pain to get off.
All right. Let's see, from Duba. Okay, Greg, epoxy throws a lot of particulates, but because it's waterproof, have you ever done your epoxy CNC work submerged to gain control over the waste?
No, I have a very good dust collection. You use dust collection just like you do on wood chips.
Okay. Yeah, and so as far as that goes, you should always use dust collection on when you're cutting epoxy. I mean, I rarely use dust collection because I'm always doing video on my stuff. So does I guess that in the wintertime you're gonna have the same problem. It's gonna stick to the side of your vacuum tube.
Mine doesn't. My dust collection is pretty powerful, but you could, because it is plastic. In the end, epoxy is plastic.
Okay, so it's gonna have a static charge.
Yeah, so it's gonna have a static charge. So yeah, you may have to blow it out, and it's gonna get in places, but just blow it out or use a shop vac to vacuum it up.
Okay. And mix by weight or volume?
I mix by volume. I am not a mix by weight fan. And you can mix by weight and some epoxies have directions to mix by weight, but I don't even like mixing by parts. I like mixing by volume. You can mix by parts, but it's usually, for me, I don't like math. I don't math well. So I prefer to keep it simple. So I just mix by volume, and it's a 2-to-1 ratio, and mixing by ratio is super easy, especially when you get the cups with the ratio markers on them. You literally just fill it to the line for the number you want. So
okay. And how do you generally determine the volume? If you're doing if somebody's done like a V carving of a sign, how do they kind of estimate?
V carving, it's going to be an estimate. There's no good way to do a true calculation. I mean, technically you could, but oh my God, that would be terrible. You just got to do experience. You're going to waste a little epoxy. But when you're doing like a river table, there's a calculation. So you got to get your average width, your depth, your length, and go to any of the sites have epoxy calculators. Super Clear has one on theirs. Just plug those numbers in, and it does the calculation for you of how many ounces and or gallons you're going to need.
All right. Okay. So we got a link in here for Eye Candy Pigments. Is that Eye Candy a different company?
Eye Candy is what I use for my coloring my epoxy.
Okay. So that's when you're doing epoxy and you're pouring a dye in or whatever, you're doing the sparkles. Yep. That's Eye Candy brand.
That's Eye Candy Pigments.
Okay.
They have
separate.
tons of colors.
That's not Super Clear, right?
Nope. That's a separate company. Yeah.
Okay. Greg, and small epoxy projects. This comes from Blazing. Are vacuum chambers or pressure pots needed? A nice to have or what? Skip completely.
If you can get one, I would get one. I don't use a vacuum chamber on the tabletop epoxy because it's not going to sit long if it's mixed up. Depends on the volume you got it mixed. If you got it mixed in a decent volume, it's going to want to harden quick because of the volume. So I don't waste time doing that. Those you can usually just pop the bubbles as long as you mixed it slow and properly. You can just pop the bubbles with a torch. Again, my process for the deep pour is I usually do put it in a vacuum chamber. I don't use pressure pot because I don't do any small casting. Pressure pots are for casting. Think of it just the opposite. A vacuum chamber is going to pull the bubbles out of the epoxy. The casting and the pressure pot is going to push the bubbles down so fine that you can't see them with the eye.
Okay, yeah. Vacuum chamber will expand the bubbles so much that they just rise up. That's I was going to ask you to clarify that one. So on the pressure pot and vacuum chambers, what's your preference? What's the recommendation? Why would they use one or the other? If somebody's going to really start getting into this, do they want a pressure pot first or they want a vacuum chamber first?
Vacuum chamber, unless you specifically are getting into epoxy and you're a turner. If you are a turner, you're going to want a pressure pot.
Okay. So from Steven, using wood will always show bubbles. Do you put down some kind of base layer before the pour of the epoxy? So
it depends on the project, but yes, I seal my edges. Like when I'm doing a live edge table, I seal my edges because you're absolutely correct. Because of the exothermic reaction that is required for epoxy to cure, it's going to heat the wood. And what happens when you heat wood? It expands. So it's going to release air from within itself, which is going to put bubbles in your epoxy. So yeah, always seal your edges before you pour epoxy on it.
In the wood.
In the wood.
Yep. From MRS POC, do you seal the carve before you pour to avoid bleed? So yeah, we talked about that before. Yeah, you always seal your carve. What do you use to seal before you pour? Again.
I use either de-wax shellac or epoxy.
Okay, shellac dries pretty quickly.
It does. It dries pretty quick.
Okay, why shellac over lacquer?
Just I have a lot of it. It's just pretty easy.
Okay. All right, Blazer, Greg, how are you dealing with dust particles if you're using fans to keep the pour cool while hardening?
I don't care about them. So when I'm doing a table like that, I'm pouring deep enough to where I'm going to wind up cutting off minimum a 1/4 inch of epoxy and or wood. So whatever dust may have settled on the top, it's not going to be there. I'm a little more careful if I'm pouring clear, obviously, but if I'm pouring opaque, one of two things is going to happen. I'm going to surface it off, or it's going to go so deep you'll never see it. Dust particles will stay on the surface though.
Okay. Then we have 9:05. Wow, time's going fast. So Rick said he poured a 2x4 sign, 2-foot-by-4-foot sign for a lake camp. It turned yellow a couple years ago. Can I spray paint the epoxy with a primer, then hand paint the lettering?
Yeah.
What does he have to do? Any prep work?
I would probably scuff it up a little bit, maybe with 220 grit, because you're going to paint over it, so it's really not going to matter, and it'll help it adhere to the epoxy a little better.
Okay. So knowing that you're gonna make projects if you're gonna pour epoxy and it's gonna be outdoors, what would you recommend that they do instead of epoxy?
You can do epoxy, just don't do clear.
Okay.
Do opaque, because I mean opaque, it's going to still yellow, but if it's opaque, you're not going to know that it yellowed.
Okay. All right. Dave is saying, after your initial epoxy mixing, do you typically remix in a fresh bucket, or just take the time to scrape out the last bucket?
I use a fresh bucket.
So so your buckets are consumables then?
Yes, and keep that in mind when you're pricing, because I mean, yes, could you reuse it? You could let the epoxy harden in the bucket and pop the epoxy out and reuse the bucket. I don't go. That to me seems like too much trouble for a cheap bucket. So it's easier just to go ahead and account for it. But you don't want to scrape your sides and then wind up causing a mismatch in your mixture of your epoxy and ruin a whole project because of a $4 bucket.
Yeah, that's a good point. Don't be cheap when cheap can cost you.
Yes.
Especially when you're working on a project it's got a lot of set time like that. Yeah, just don't mess around. What's the minimum depth for epoxy inlay?
There's really not one. You can do whatever depth you want or need. If you're pouring and you need it to be really opaque, I would go with probably a 1/4 inch. Because if you go really shallow, even if you got an opaque epoxy, it's only opaque because has some volume. If you spread that out, obviously the thinner it gets, the more translucent it could get. So I usually do a 1/4 inch when I'm doing any kind of a epoxy inlay.
Okay. So what would you say would be the absolute minimum?
I would say probably 0.2. If I had to give you a number, I would say I probably wouldn't go any shallower than 0.2.
Okay. William wants to know, when you make a project in Carveco or Vectric, you look into the file, into red line controller, and for the 3D image seemed off or offset. Any thoughts on this? So what's he asking here? When you make a project in Carveco or Vectric, you load the file into the red line controller. So Redline is who makes that controller?
Redline. Redline's the new controller for Onefinity.
Okay.
Yeah. If you're having an issue, I would reach out to their support. They're pretty top notch. I mean, because I don't know why you would see an offset unless you're looking at your image on there and you're seeing the lines below it. That's just showing you the lines that it's going to carve the steps. Outside of that, if there's an issue, I would definitely reach out to them. I've never had an issue of it showing something being offset.
Do you have that controller on your machine?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, you won that machine.
No, they gave it to me.
Okay.
And yeah, and I'm also a beta tester for Redline. So
okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. So folks, when you have technical questions about a machine or something's not working right, it's always best to reach out to the companies. They're the experts on it. On our end, we get a lot of questions like that. We try to answer them if we know them, but a lot of times it's a technical issue. We're not, yeah, we specialize in certain things, but not how all the electronics work together and all that stuff. Right. So it's always best to go to the company that makes the stuff. Greg, how are you mixing your pours? By hand, mixing paddle, drill motor?
So if I'm doing deep pour, I mix it by a paddle. Never, ever mix your tabletop or 1-to-1 epoxies with a paddle. That's just begging air to come in.
Okay, a paddle. So let's define this. So you got the stick, right? The mixing stick. That's the small stuff. Then they have the like the screw mixers that you put on your drill.
Yes.
All right.
That's what I use for deep pour.
Okay. And what's the paddle? What's the difference?
That's the paddle they're talking about.
Okay.
It's got little paddles. It looks like a boat propeller, kind of, is what they're talking about.
So it's creating a vortex, and it's a strong, a little whirlpool. It's drawing the air down into the whirlpool.
Yep.
Okay. There you go. Gently, right? What's your mixing technique? I mean, you're nice and slow. What?
With deep pour, it doesn't matter. You can just mix it because it's, again, the bubbles are going to come out of it. But yeah, with your tabletop and your art resins, mix long and slow and not aggressive. Just make sure you're just slow and scraping the sides of your bucket every 15, 20 seconds, because you're going to mix for several minutes. You're gonna learn what 5 minutes actually is.
Okay, that's actually a good point, because the way fluid moves, he said scrape the buckets, and there's a reason for that. It's because fluid doesn't move as easily on the edges as it does in the middle.
Yeah.
So that's why you want to make sure you stick to the outside. Folks, if you're getting something out of this, you're enjoying this, hit that thumbs up button. And remember, we're going to be doing a giveaway here shortly. And again, check the links for the Super Clear, Greg's affiliate link. And he suggests, if you didn't get into it, if you haven't done it before, get the little small kit. All right, pint kit, or what? How would it be called? I don't have it up here at all.
It can be any of those. It comes in several different kits. And I will say too, if you use my link, get yourself a discount. Use code STL. That'll give you 5% off your purchase and it's on top of anything else they've got going on. So if they're having a 40% discount, you'll get 45% off.
Okay, there you go. So you got that discount then. Okay, yeah, I'm looking at their website now. So yeah, I'd have to sit there and look at it in order to get a good idea on it. So what are they going to look for though? They're going to look for kits.
Just look for the size you're wanting. Choose whatever it is, because you're going to have different sizes in each one of the epoxies. If you do the tabletop, you can get in all the sizes, including the gallons. So when you select one of those options, you're going to, inside that, you're going to choose what size you want. Yeah. So if you scroll down, that's why you see $39.99 to $139, because the $139 is going to be your 3-gallon kit.
Okay. All right.
And you choose that on the right over there. You'll see.
Over here.
Yep. You'll choose your option, and there's your kit sizes when you click that and drop that down.
Okay. All right. There you go, guys.
Yep.
Anyone that you would say they should start off with?
I'd start off with a smaller one just to see what you like, and then
particular one. Just doesn't really matter. Just any particular one.
No, I mean it depends on what you're wanting to try out. If you're wanting to try some small projects, get the art resin or the tabletop. If you're wanting to go ahead and try.
Yeah, the reason I'm asking is so I'm an epoxy stupid guy, right? So I'm looking here and going, what do I need? What do I want to get? So to me, right off the bat, it's confusing. So
you would want to go with the art resin or the tabletop.
Okay, and where are we?
Tabletop is the top right there, epoxy 1-to-1, and the art resin is the second one from the left on the second row.
Okay, it says it right there. Okay, super clear tabletop, and then the other one was
right there. That's art resin. Those are both 1-to-1 mix.
Okay, there you go, folks. Can you talk about UV light hardening and what it would be used for?
So that's a finish. You're talking about a type of finish. The UV hardening finishes, are several brands out there. I have one that I haven't even tried yet. But I know a lot of people who have. They seem to be great. they harden instantly. As soon as you hit them with a UV light, they're done. They're hard.
Like not just hard, but they're cured.
They're cured. Yeah, completely cured. So, but they're expensive.
Okay.
Yep.
And you have to have the light for it too.
The light is expensive. Yeah.
From Stephen, how do you plan your epoxy project if you were using multiple colors, say for a logo?
I obviously CAD it out in software and then just figure out what colors I needed. Those are typically, unless you're doing a huge logo, those are going to be small quantities. So it's pretty easy to plan out, know what colors you're going to use. It's not difficult at all. Just keep in mind, if you're using multiple colors and you're doing multiple different carves, it's going to be a little more complex and take a little longer because you're going to probably want to leave it sitting there on the machine.
Right. William is saying, how big of a surface bit can I use on a red line 1.5 spindle?
So you can use, really 2 inches would be fine. Your limitation's going to be your depth of cut.
Yeah.
On it. So you can use a 2-inch surfacing bit. You're just going to take really, really small bites.
Yeah. Yeah. So, that's why the quarter-inch surfacing bits we have, the quarter-inch shank surfacing bits that I use for woodcraft, we don't go over 1.5 inches because spindles like that, they can start to bog down and you have to take really light cuts on it. So I'm going to say 1.5 inches. I got a 1.5 horse right here. 1.5 inches is the max that I'll run on that one. And it's a shallow cut. Greg, any attempt on using glow in the dark paint and clear epoxy as a filler? What is the glow to come through and recharge for a popping glow?
I've not now. So to get I've used it one time. If I'm being completely honest, I'm not a fan. It's just not my thing. I did it just because I wanted to try it. Because Eye Candy sent me some of the glow in dark pigment, and I don't know that I ever saw a popping glow, but it is very visible as long as your room is really, really dark. So I haven't seen it where it stands out like that light back there. I have never seen it like glow a lot. But again, I don't have a lot of experience with it.
Okay. All right. So question for me, Derek Garrett, question. I set my Z width paper method. And when I cut a profile cut, I select the bottom of the stock, but I've been having it cut into the spoil board. Why is that? I'm going to say that either your material is set, your depth of cut is set too deep, or if you're zeroing on the spoil board, but what would it be? You zeroed on the spoil board, but your design zero may be on the surface of the project. All right, so that's where that's one of the reasons why I came up with this too. And it's actually covered on the checklist. Are you set on the Z on the spoil board, or are you set on the top of the material? And this has a double check in here to make sure you double check that. So it makes you go back to the design. This is the setup checklist, folks, for CNC projects. The most important aspect of your whole CNC run after you've done your design work is the setup. Because if you miss something on the setup, the machine's just going to run. But if you miss something on the setup, then you can move the project, right? It can ruin the project. It clamps, project material, setting your Z in the wrong place. Lots of different things. This is free to you guys. It's a setup checklist. You just use it every time you do a setup. And you should have very, very little problem. Unexpected mistakes. Because those unexpected mistakes are never any fun.
Yeah.
And it's almost always, how often would you say the mistakes you've made have been, from just a brain blunder, just because we forgot?
Probably all of them.
I say all of them too.
Yeah.
I think the only time maybe when I went with a feed and speed and I underestimated the hardness of the material or something like that.
Yeah.
And it maybe overdrove the bit. But I'm going to say 99%. There's always something up here, and that's going to help you. So that's free. We'll link that. You can download that. Anthony, if I was to reboot the G controller, do I just unplug it and wait and plug it back in, or is it there's a safe way to reboot it? So the G controls, basically it's a computer. It's mounted on the alt mill. I actually took mine off because I do so much right here with two screens, so I don't use it. But yeah, it's just a computer. So just do the shutdown on the computer and turn it back on. Robert, when doing epoxy pour on a tabletop slab, what do you use to seal backside to keep it from running out of a crack? So if you have a crack that's running all the way through.
Yeah, so you can do a couple of things. If you're not building a mold and you're doing a river table, if you're just doing an epoxy pour on a slab that you're going to keep like it is, just tape. The same tape I use to tape my molds, the tuck tape, is the same thing I actually tape over the hole in the back with, and you can pour it right into it.
All right, folks. Yeah, we've stopped taking questions. So if you ask questions like after 9 o'clock, we are, unless we have time left, which it doesn't look like we're going to with this. We have 6 questions left, but if we do, we'll try to grab a few more. So generally, we try to cut them off at 9 o'clock. Although we have forgotten to announce that lately, so we get all these questions. Brian is asking, do you know why the machine would be giving him an error saying the port lost connection? The machine stops moving but the spindle keeps turning. Thank you very much. Well, first I'm going to say your spindle is run by the VFD. So the circuit board, the machine's brain is going to tell the VFD to turn the spindle on, and then if something happens, but the spindle is still locked turned on. So the VFD is just saying it's still got to turn it on. I'm not sure how you'd override that. I would talk to whatever company you're talking that you got the machine from and tell them what's going on and how to override that.
Yeah, I would add one of the biggest problems that usually arises and causes your machine to stop is usually static. You're not grounded properly.
Okay. Does Super Clear have a metering pump system?
Johnny, I don't even know what that is.
I don't either. I think that's just I think that is it's actually you can set how much material is going to pump into the.
Oh, you're talking about I know what you're talking about. Yeah, no, they do not. Total Boat has what he's talking about. Okay. But no, not that I'm aware of, unless they've come out with it and didn't tell me.
Okay. Oh, I didn't see this. This is way down the line from Oz. Gave us a $20 super sticker donation. Oz, cool. So, folks, whenever we get donations, then they generally we always donate it somewhere, either some military woodworking thing or St. Jude, local food banks. Last week, 2 weeks ago, we sent some money to people donated to Swan, and who's on here, who's dealing with cancer. And so everybody donated a bunch of money to him. So IDC Woodcraft matched it, and we sent them over $1,000, which is super, super cool. Kimberly is saying, Greg, are you familiar with IVAC dust collection with the RF blast gates?
Kimberly, are you spying on me? So it's funny because my next video that's going to be coming out is actually the installation of my dust collection. And the sponsor of that video is actually Grit Automation, who makes the automatic blast gates. So yes, all of my blast gates in my shop are automated. So are my CNCs. So is my air filtration system. So even when it detects the air getting bad, my air filtration kicks on automatically. And when I turn a tool on, it automatically opens the correct blast gate and closes any other blast gate that's open.
Okay.
So yes, they're not cheap. I will tell you that. But you can outfit a small shop for a few $100s. And I'm going to tell you the steps alone that it has saved me is just unbelievable. And not to mention the times you forget to go open your blast gate, then you have to turn the machine off, go open your blast gate. That never happens. As soon as you turn the power on, blast gate automatically opens.
So for the folks that don't even know what a blast gate is, what would you?
Yeah, your dust collection system. So if you got multiple tools, you're not going to have all your tools sucking at one time. So you're going to close your blast gates, which is cutting off the tubing to the tool you're not using. So the suction goes to one tool.
Okay.
So each tool will have a blast gate.
All right. So Kimberly's spying on you, huh? I think Kimberly lets on more than what she knows more than what she lets on, but she's pretty engaged here. I actually would like to probably talk to her, maybe get Juliana Liberty to get her on here if she wants to get online. We can talk a little bit about what she does. All right. Got one more from Bill. It says, what suggestions do you have to mix in sparkle or mica flakes into the epoxy?
No big suggestion. You just actually mix them like you normally would. Any pigment, any sparkle, any flakes at all, any kind of pigment going into the epoxy needs to be done after you have completely mixed the epoxy parts together. Don't try to put the powder or whatever you're using, the pigment, do not put that in when you put your epoxy together. Make sure you mix it thoroughly first, then add your pigment.
Okay. And when they're adding pigment, right, pigment actually, like, I've seen people put one drop in and it's like, it's totally darkened the color, almost made it opaque or something like that. So when you're putting pigment in, you got to be really careful, basically.
You do. One thing you got to think about too is, and especially on your deeper pours, when you're mixing a larger volume, keep in mind when you put that pigment in there, you are looking at that pigment from the top through whatever volume you're using. So it's going to be darker. Like say you've got 6 inches worth of volume, your table is only going to be 2 inches thick. You're going to need to take a clear plastic cup, dip it in that epoxy and get approximately 2 inches in that cup. That's going to show you how opaque your finished product's going to be.
Oh, okay.
Because I've seen people do it. They mix it in a bowl or a bucket and it looks really dark. Sure it does. There's 6 or 8 inches of epoxy in there creating that opaque effect. And then when they pour it and spread it out to 2 inches, it's translucent.
Okay. Interesting. All right. Mark said he does know that larger flakes will settle unless you stir them up occasionally while it's curing.
Yeah. And that's how you get the swirl effect too. That's an art in itself, is when to swirl it without waiting too long to swirl it.
All right. Hey folks, hit the thumbs up button. So we hit the end of our questions that we've done. Julian's going to come on in a minute. We're going to talk about what we're giving away, but I do want to say to number one, if you're getting something out of this, give us a thumbs up button here, just below the video. Hit that thumbs up, and then go ahead and sign up to Greg's YouTube channel. So that's going to be in the description of the video. Julian's been linking it in the comments, and if you want to get into the epoxy, the super clear, we got his affiliate link. It'll be in the description of the video as well. So it's been kind of cool being like the actual dummy asking about epoxy. I mean, I'm a total dummy. Literally, these ladies have done more epoxy than I've ever done. It's kind of fun. I remember you guys down the dungeon, both working together, making some little, your first time you were fiddling with epoxy.
I was messing around with it before I even thought of or knew of what IDC Woodcraft was.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's fun.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
If anybody's in the Atlanta area for IWF, I'll be at IWF with Super Clear in Atlanta. So come by and say hey.
All right. Let me get our giveaway going. I've got to close out a bunch of.
Yeah, when we were talking about that, it just reminded me of the early days. So like when I brought Julianne in when she was hired, put her with Liberty for a week, and they kind of threw her to the wolves with the rest of the stuff. I said, I don't know what to do. This is it here. This is that. And she just had to take off on it and figure it all out. All right. So what are we giving away today anyway?
We're giving away, well, once I can get the screen to work. That's showing, right? Okay. Well, let's see. We've got a lot of goodies kind of backed up in the old IDC giveaway drawer. So
Okay.
we've got some, let's see. Yeah, useful things. And then we've got a couple bits that we need to decrease the inventory of. So I know of at least 2 different bits that are going to be included in this prize package.
Okay. Well, tell them what this is. Tell for the folks that don't know what they have to do.
So welcome to everybody who's new. This is our IDC Woodcraft Wednesday night giveaway. Usually we're lazy. I'll tell you this now, and we do giveaways of gift cards, but tonight we're giving away stuff. So what you do is you're going to take this lovely little phrasing as you see it on your screen, and you're going to enter it in the YouTube chat. And that is if you're on tablet or PC, that would be like down below with the chat. If you're on a TV, unless you have a wireless keyboard, I have no idea how you're going to enter it unless you pick up your phone. So but yeah, and so you only have to enter it once, and I see that Greg just entered, so I'm guessing that he's going to do one of his surprise me moments on this live and give away something else as well.
Yep, I entered as well. So
Okay.
if IDC Woodcraft comes up, we give away whatever Julianne wants to do. She can double the prize or give away a second prize, whatever.
And it won't be the alt mill. I'm sorry, you guys. We're not giving away Garrett's machine ever. he needs it.
Yeah. So yeah, only enter once, folks, because it's not going to entering more than once doesn't do anything. Literally, it does not do anything. The system does not let you do it.
It fills up the chat, and I just get to see your name multiple times. Doesn't increase your chances.
Bag of M&Ms, lots of M&Ms.
I mean, yes, there will be M&Ms. There are always M&Ms,
Yeah.
unless of course you ask us not to, because we have a couple of people that we won't send M&Ms to for health reasons.
Okay, like diabetics, such.
Yeah, and allergic to chocolate, so that's kind of it. Or some people that just don't want their grandchildren stealing it.
Yeah. So what bits are we giving away?
So we have a wonderful little bulk of inventory. We've got the 1/16 down cut.
Okay.
And then we also have the 1/4 inch upcut.
Okay.
And Cody from Cadence Manufacturing, aka the Jenny Bit guy, has so nicely donated a couple of Jenny Bits that we can give away as well. So wow. I know.
Are we doing this one giveaway, or are we doing?
I'll be generous, and we'll have 2 winners tonight.
Okay. All right, 2 layers. And yeah, Stephen just threw in $1.
Yeah, thanks, Stephen.
All right, Stephen, very cool. Oops, pop that off. Thank you, Stephen. Super cool. That will go into our donation bucket.
Actually, we thought about epoxy pouring all the M&Ms that fall out of our boxes, because we get bulk like 560 little fun packs per box, but I usually order them like 8 boxes at a time. So there are tons of little M&Ms that like to litter the bottom of those boxes. Sometimes we get packages open, so we actually did think about doing an epoxy pour with those.
What we should do is collect those into a jar, and then we'll do a jar count. People can guess how many M&Ms are in a jar at the end of the year, and we'll give away a full-blown set or something like that.
Okay. All right. Noted.
Cool.
I don't know. We'll have to keep the shipping people's hands out of the jar.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Might be some eating of it.
Yeah. Barry said, "You rock, Cody," for Cody's gift. Very cool, Cody. I didn't know he was going to do that.
Yeah, he surprised me with it. He's like, "Hey, so I know you give away bits."
Okay, Spooky, you don't never say you're going to lose. Never say you're going to lose, brother. You own it, brother. Own it. So this time I'm going to win. Okay, 16th inch down cut, so that's got a 16th inch shank on it, or 8th inch shank on it, and then the 1/4 inch up cut, so that's full 1/4 inch bit. That's cool. That's a nice little giveaway. And then a couple bits from the Jenny bit line.
Yep. Steven donated another $25.
Yeah. I guess he hit the wrong button last time. Steven, you're awesome.
Was that might have been a YouTube thing? Like you can only donate this much, and then you can donate more after you donate that first little bit. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah,
I want to donate $1,000 to someone who I watch a lot, and I couldn't do it. They wouldn't let me do it.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was going to donate $1,000 to a channel.
Huh. Pretty intense channel must be.
So how many entries? Yeah.
I was gonna say, Julianne, there may be 3 winners tonight. So
Okay.
There actually is a very interesting M&M discussion happening in the chat. I'm reading.
Let's see, but then who has to count all the M&Ms in the jar to find? Hey, we got a scale, guys. We got a count scale. We'll put 10 M&Ms on the scale and say there's 10 M&Ms. Then we just pour them all on there. We know how many are there. Because if we have somebody counting, then that count is going to be distorted because they'll be miscounting once in a while, putting their mouth. How many entries we got now?
All right, we've got 213 people entered. I'm going to go ahead and do our first drawing for person number 1. And
we're giving away, or is it going to be a surprise? We're going to just break it up into surprise.
I mean, I honestly, okay, so I'm going to be completely transparent. When we give away boxes of stuff that include bits, there's always some extra things from the office that end up in there. And it's pretty much just off the top of my head of like, yep, we'll do this. We'll do that. Yeah, they can have that.
Yep.
So there's no telling what's going to end up in.
Okay.
Could be anything. All right, you guys. So how this is going to work if you're new, you're going to see names scrolling by really, really, really fast. Don't get excited until you see the confetti. So here we go.
All right, here we go. Come on, IDC. I want to see IDC come up so I can do something double or something. And it's
all right.
JVJ9LY. How would you pronounce that? All right, JJ1. That's right. We don't have to try to pronounce it.
All right. So, JJ, with a very interesting plant, it looks like. I'm going to need you to go to the idcwoodcraft.com contact us page. I will need your first and last name and your mailing address and email, please. Obviously, I can't guess the name from that.
Actually, JJ, why don't you put in here, put your first name so Julianne can line things up a bit better. Maybe your last initial, because sometimes people try to buck the system here. They actually try to cheat us on this stuff. I know, and I'm a good investigator. Like I dig in, I find out who you are. You cannot get it past Julianne. She really is. If I had to hire her for anything else, it would be a private detective. She's actually done detective work for me, and sort of, so to speak, get information I didn't know how to get. Steve. Okay. All right, Steve. Very nice. Very nice. Okay. Congratulations, Steve. All right. All right. Now we're going to go for our second one. Let's see. Hold on. Let me get back to the right screen. Oh, my goodness. This is a new laptop for me. I'm trying to figure out how it works. She can work for a spy, Kimberly. Ooh, I could. I'm willing to be out for hire. No, she's not. I'm not under contract. Anyway, all right, you guys, we're going for the second one. I might get in trouble here. You may not see me next Wednesday. Right, yeah. Here we go. All right, here we go. Okay. Who is it? I saw Oz's name go by. Mm-hmm. Daniel, T2X. Woo! All right, Danny. That's cool. Awesome. Congratulations, Dan. JJ and Dan.
And same deal here, Dan. I need you to pop over to idcwoodcraft.com and yeah, give name, address, phone number if you want. I don't care. No. All right. And per Greg, we are actually going to set up another giveaway really quickly.
So let me explain while she's setting that up.
And this is going to be completely.
I don't want to do the same. Yes, because I don't want to do the same one and this will make sense. So what we're going to do, and I haven't asked them, but we're going to do it anyway. We're going to give away something from Super Clear. They'll be fine with it. They love me. So the only people who need to enter this one is if you're interested in epoxy, because obviously if you don't want epoxy, there's no sense in you entering and having it sent to you. So for this one, if you are interested in epoxy, type that in and you will be sent a kit. I don't know what size kit, but you will be sent a kit. And we'll do we'll probably do tabletop because that's going to be the easiest for most beginners. If you happen to not be a beginner, you got to reach out to Julianne anyway. If you'll let her know you're not a beginner and you want deep pour, that we can do that too.
Very generous, Super Clear. Have they been online to watching this and to making a decision?
I don't. Oh no, I make the decisions when they're not here.
Okay,
it's their fault for not being on.
No, that's what happens. They don't show up. Things happen. And I find that one out almost every day.
I gotta say,
that's right.
Yeah.
Kimberly donated $20 for a recruitment fee.
I know. I saw that. I was going to bring that back up. Oh boy.
Oh my God.
Kimberly wants you now.
I know. I'm valuable.
I know. Kimberly's just going to cost you a lot more than that, sister.
I just need a small space of that giant garage in your new house.
Oh yeah, there you go.
I'm taking a picture of this right now to send to them.
All right, we've got 179 people and counting.
Wow. I'll tell you what, I'm going to sign up for this one. And so if IDC Woodcraft comes up, then we're going to buy a second set.
Right? I like that idea.
Yep. So, wow, they entered in fast on that one. No time.
It's been all about epoxy tonight. Gotta take advantage.
Hey. Ooh.
Guys, get those entries in quick. Garrett's about to knock out.
I know.
I love it.
Super cool. All right.
Quarter till 10.
RA Creative Woodworks. I don't know what RA stands for. Razzmatazz. There we go.
Those little razzle candies that are gum.
So, all right.
Oh, wait. So I text Super Clear and said, hey, by the way, since you're not here, I'm giving away a kit. He said, give away 3.
Seriously?
Yes.
My goodness. So, y'all are making my job complicated tonight.
Who said give away 3?
The manager of R&D and marketing for Super Clear.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Sweet.
So
really? So we're going to do 3 more rolls?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yep.
Unless IDC comes up and we'll do another one.
Yeah, I know. All right. Well, folks, you can thank Super Clear for their generosity on this one.
They're awesome. They're awesome folks.
All right, you guys. I'm going to do a little background stuff to prepare for this.
Yeah. Just so you know, folks, Greg contributes a lot to things that we do as well. So sometimes when we doing a giveaway for something else, like a course or something, then he'll go and throw in money for another course. So we have to do another giveaway. All right.
Sometimes Julianne can stop me but tonight I'm on here, so she can't do anything.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, usually I'm pretty good at stopping Garrett's wild ideas before they get going, but get Garrett and Greg together on a live night, and I'm just like, okay, let's roll with it.
Yeah. I've actually given the team authority to tell me no a lot more these days, because I do put them in a whirlwind sometimes. They'll say, we're going to do this, and we want it done in a week, and it's like 1 months worth of work.
All right, you guys. I think we're gonna go ahead and get these rolling.
All right, roll it.
All right. So if you're watching afterwards, this is not going to be live for you. So here we go.
Okay. All right.
203 people. Let's start with our first.
Cool. All right. Come on. Who is it going to be? Bam. Brandon Moore. Woo, Brandon.
Congratulations.
Brandon. Super clear kit. Sweet.
All right.
So,
When you send Julianne the email, just tell me if you're a beginner or not a beginner, and or if you want deep pour, or just tell me that if you want deep pour or tabletop, and we'll do that.
Okay.
Deep pour.
Yeah, so Julianne will get that information forwarded to Greg, right?
Yep.
Yes.
And then him and Super Clear will take it from there.
Yep.
Yes. All right. Ready for winner number 2?
So.
Oh my gosh.
Number 2.
All right. Numero 2. Let's go.
Okay, here we go. Come on. I just want to see IDC Woodcraft go by. Come on, baby. And it's Joe Miranda. Woo, Joe. Okay. This is cool. Yeah, it's like giveaway night tonight.
Indeed. I'm enjoying this. This is crazy. I love it.
Congratulations.
All right. Congratulations, Joe. Okay. And let's see. This is for our last person winning this lovely super clear package. All right, you guys. Last giveaway of the night.
All right. Christmas Day.
Here we go.
Okay. All right, here we go. There, I got a little faster drum roll going on now. All right, so Mark Lindsay go by. Jetty went by. Oh, hey, we know this guy. We've met him.
We do.
Woo. All right, Wonder
Awesome.
Star. And you don't have to tell them your name because ladies
I
know.
was going to say, just for my peace of mind, send your information for me anyway. That way I have it on record through email. It's very helpful. Because sometimes.
And we need to know what you want.
Yeah.
It said Midnight Sun said buy a drum roll machine.
I was going to say, we need one of those little sound effects doodles.
Well, oh, Greg's got it. Let's see if I
Click. I mean, that works.
giveaway tonight. That's a record.
Shoo-wee.
That's a
Yes.
record.
So-
Yeah.
For my peace of mind, please make sure you enter all your information for me on that contact us page. That way I can keep you all separate.
Yeah.
You can just
All
put
right.
the subject as Wednesday winner, or super clear, or giving me my bits, or
Yeah. Yeah. Julia, it was funny today when I stepped into the office and I picked up something off her desk. She says, "Don't touch it." And she was like right in the middle of her organization. And if she's not like squared up, she's like, don't, I'll punch you, I'll kill you.
well, it was right. It was like all my tax documents plus the checks that needed to go to specific tax places, and I was like, "Oh, just put it down where you found it, please."
I'm just looking at a tax check crying. Oh, no.
Yeah, no, really today.
Yeah, we sent a lot of money to Uncle Sam today, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
That's part of business, folks. I'm just grateful to have that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, congratulations all. 5 different giveaways, 2 bit winners, and then 3 super clear kit winners.
Bye.
Definitely cool. Thank you, Greg, for that and for the information that you shared today.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And yeah, folks, remember all the links will be in the description of this video. With that, we will catch you next Wednesday. Do we have anybody coming in next Wednesday?
Not at the moment, no.
Not at the moment. We'll
It's
figure it
just
out.
gonna be us.
We'll figure it out. We'll see you guys.
See ya.
Bye.